But with growing concern in Pakistan on Indian meddling in Balochistan, even in Waziristan and those areas, do you think really, from the very core of your heart, that Pak-India relations could improve in the foreseeable future?
I think that the basis of a relation, I see no reason why these relationships cannot improve. But if you have the whole, it always comes back to the same issue, really everything. It comes back to the issue of poor and weak leadership, corrupt leadership, weak leadership, leadership that doesn't understand the issues and worse, doesn't care about the issues. They realize they have a short term in power. Uh, Based on the history of Pakistan, Pakistani politics, no one spends too much time in office. And while they're there, they try to gather as much as they can in terms of personal wealth and influence before their day comes to an end. Now, when this happens, obviously the country cannot really expect any kind of to be respected in any way and to have the Indians respect us, for instance. So, but in terms of your question, I see no reason why, if we change the ground reality in Pakistan, and it's a big change, we can do it. Our people are good, they're honest, they're hardworking, we have the resources. The only thing that has prevented us is this very poor leadership that comes time after time through these.
So you think that Pakistan needs to be revamped initially before really any progress could be made on Pak-India front?
I think that's probably an accurate way to put it. I think that if you want to get closure on issues such as Kashmir, this is not the time you will get it, because you are so weak, you have no voice, you have no influence. It's basically what I think the poor people at the Foreign Office, who are obliged to put up with these politicians who give them the professional good people at the Foreign Office. Basically, all they can do is play some kind of holding game until something happens and we get some good leadership into power.
Some say that, and there is quite a growing number of people who view it this way, that the armed forces in both the countries, and especially in Pakistan, have a vested interest in carrying on with the Pak-India confrontational politics, because that serves them. Do you believe in that?
I can't say I would believe in that. What I can say is that when there is an absence of any good civilian supervision, which is the normal, for instance, in America, the president is is the commander in chief, and the civilian setup, whatever it is, the Defense Department, the oversight by the Senate and Congress, and they are the ones who set defense policy. Now, when you have people in power who do not understand the issues, who, if left to their own devices, would possibly compromise national security and integrity, then the army has no choice but to take certain strategic decisions on their own. And this has happened. It continues to happen. Their interest as patriotic Pakistanis, and I can tell you there's no one more patriotic than the people who get into the Pakistani army, they have to set their policies and their strategies ultimately to protect Pakistan.
So it's not their vested interest which forces them?
I don't think it's their vested interest at all. I don't think they are interested in playing this game.
Because that means that a large army has to be maintained in case this India issue hangs on Pakistan, and that provides for the big budget that goes into the army.
I feel that the large army issue is somewhat outdated now. I think that if you had good, competent leadership, firstly, let me just say that I think the nuclear deterrence now, the mutual nuclear deterrence that is there, is a good thing. It has enabled us. It should enable us, theoretically, it should enable both states, theoretically, to cut down on their defense forces and focus these resources on their poor people. Now, India, for sure, they are industrially advanced, much more advanced than Pakistan. For sure, they are an emerging power. But at the same time, there are more people in abject poverty in India than the whole population of Pakistan. So resources that can be freed up to on both sides should be really welcome. And I think if sensible leadership on both sides could sit together and say, look, we need to stop this. We need to, both of us, sit down and solve our problems. And we have many of them, rather than to waste time on this silly game that is going on.
You have been saying India as an emerging power, you just mentioned it. Now there has been a growing discussion and indications that the United States has been using India, has been rather portraying India as an emerging power to balance out China. Now where does Pakistan stand into this equation, Pak-China relationship in emergence of India as a balancing sort of issue?
Actually, to be honest, I think these issues, they exist, of course. These are sort of global, strategic, the great game, some new form of it, and big powers have their interests, and my feeling is that our strategy, these things are going to happen. You cannot influence them. They are games that go over our head. We do not have the capacity to influence them. What we should focus on what we have the capacity to influence, and that is to strengthen ourselves, to strengthen our economy, to be open to all parties who are willing to support us in that effort, and certainly China has been a good supporter. We should not be willing to be used as a chip in these games, and I think we should say clearly through our words and our actions that we will not be used for this purpose. We are there primarily as a country to serve our own people and to improve their lives and livelihoods.
So how do you see the future of Pak-China relationship?
I think the future will be just as the past. I don't see that there will
be a very
be
close relationship between the two.
I think there should be a close relationship. There is no.
And President Zardari says that he would be going to China every second or third month.
I think President Zardari would be much better staying at home and not going anywhere and focusing on all the big problems we have. There is no foreign relationship that will save Pakistan. The only way to save it is to save it yourself. And if the President and his Prime Minister, I find that both of them spend an excessive amount of time outside the country with their begging bowls, and it's not going to do any good.